Hey everyone, we're back here live at PlatformCon Day in New York City. Again, a reminder, if you're watching this, you're probably not here, but you can go on to platformcon.com, register for the virtual event. It's been going on all week. I believe you can watch these sessions from earlier this week on demand. Go do that. Do it right after you watch this. But for now, let me introduce you to what this is. I want to first introduce to my immediate left, Leah.
Hi.
Hi, Leah. Your last name? I'm sorry.
I'm Leah Rivers.
Leah Rivers, welcome to TechStrong TV. It's great to have you here.
It's great to be here.
To my far left, James
Brookbank.
Brookbank. Easy names. Two easy names. Thank you. Thank you, parents. James, welcome to TechStrong TV.
Hey.
All right, let's jump into this. So, Leah, you are with Google.
Yes.
Tell us kind of your position. Give us a little bit of your journey, how you wound up here today at Google.
Sure. Well, I have a background in both computer science and anthropology. And so my career has been kind of a mix of really taking kind of the heart of really understanding from anthropology and the possibilities and technical insights of computer science and putting those together, really trying to help create technology systems that enable humans to keep getting better at getting better. So that's led me through working at cloud in various cloud scale problems, other cloud providers, and startups, and eventually to Google, where I get to focus on leading product for Google's internal developer platform. Kind of a dream job.
That is, especially here at the Platform Engineering Con, that would be like, if we said, hey, who would like Leah's job, they'd be lined up from here to the end.
And today, James and I are here at PlatformCon, and we're kind of representing so these are our personal thoughts in this conversation today, not on behalf of Google. Our formal talk is later.
I got to be honest with you. I've been in tech a long time, 35 years. I've been doing interviews like this for 12 years. You may be the first anthropology major I've interviewed.
Oh, I didn't quite get my anthropology major. I think I was one class away from actually, when it came down to computer science or anthropology, I had to go with the computer science.
You went with computer science?
Yeah.
Okay. I loved anthropology. I have to tell you, look, I was a poli-sci history major, so what do I know?
Yeah.
And we all wind up here eventually, but that's a fantastic thing. So how long has Google had a formal internal developer platform, if you know?
Well, I've only been at Google for 3 years, and it predates me.
It was well established.
So it was well established by the time I arrived. To the point where they're putting product leadership. My role is director of product. So it was established enough that you added a layer, product management capabilities to
Formal
that.
product.
And in my experience, you don't put product management on a platform to help make it better. You put it on when it's really successful and you really want to amplify that success and accelerate.
You have to have a certain level of maturity there.
Yeah.
Well before we had a cloud, right, in this scenario. And I guess just for context, right? So while Leah sits on the sort of core pieces and looks after those elements for the whole of Google, like myself, I look after a team like solution architecture where we only really worry about the cloud piece, and that sits as one of the customers for the overall, alongside YouTube and Waymo and all of the other cool things in that space. And for the cloud platform, that really is sort of 10 so years old, right, in its modern sort of the way it looks. And well before that, there was an existing platform within Google.
It's fascinating. If you ask most of the people here, they think of IDPs as rather a new thing, just like platform engineering is a new thing.
Right.
And it's almost always hosted, right?
Yeah.
But there's no reason it has to be. And quite frankly, as I think in the case of Google, IDPs have been around a lot longer than, the invoked platform engineering kind of.
It's been a long time since sort of Werner came out and said, you build it, you run it.
Right.
That's 20 odd years now, right? But like that was the era where platforms were being constructed at other hyperscalers, as you know. So, a long time.
Yeah, it's like to take the anthropology lens on that for a minute. One of the effects I think we're seeing is like there's new vocabulary that comes out. We get better at understanding the core issues we're solving, the opportunities, and new language comes out. So the language of an internal developer platform or the meaning of platform engineering has sort of bubbled to the surface as the thing that we have in common and we can like get better at. But the concepts and what we're doing and how we're doing it, we've been working on those for decades.
Same things put together in new ways.
Yeah.
It's funny as well because I obviously I don't have a degree in anthropology, but my degree is in biochemistry. So it's a very strange sort of space that I think a lot of us get into. But you'll hear us talk about like things like ecosystems a lot for that same parlance. That like all those components are still fundamentally, well, some have evolved over the years, sure. But to extend that analogy, like the way the ecosystem works in this space is really what we're interested in. And some of that is very much terminology. And some of it we see, I think, talking to people today, like, hey, you're doing something new in an interesting way, but it's a way that you've recontextualized all of those components.
I get it. Kind of like carbon atoms, how easily they can combine with other elements and stuff.
So much
Very
stuff is
modular
made.
and
Yeah.
composable.
Yeah.
Well, that's about all I know about chemistry, so I went with it.
You're technically correct.
Yeah? All right. Now, you guys are presenting here today, yeah?
Yeah.
Yep.
What are you presenting on?
You should say shift down.
Shift
I think that
down.
Shift down. All right. You know what?
Scale
Look
up,
in that camera.
down.
Tell.
down. Shift
Scale left.
Down. To
Scale
scale
up.
up, shift down.
All right. So that's a great catchy phrase.
Yeah.
It's a natural extension of shifting left. When we shift left, we move things earlier in the developer workflow. We help developers do things faster or more correctly. But we're not fundamentally changing the things that developers are responsible for. With platform engineering, we have the ability to systematically solve problems in the platform that need to be solved globally, so we can take it off the plate for developers, so they don't have to think about the implementation at all.
I think it's one of those things we talk about as well because people are often like, well, aren't we doing that with DevOps? And I spend a lot of time. I work with the Dora team at Google, which does a lot of sort of DevOps research work, which is I think very insightful in this, in that we've all got the same goals. We're all trying to achieve some of the same things in these areas. But, a lot of the things that we've tried to do in DevOps have worked effectively, almost so that it's become the standard in many areas. But sometimes when we've shifted some of those things left, we've become kind of overwhelmed. Like, there's just so many topics, there's so many new things to tackle, so many security vulnerabilities every day. And that's overwhelming it's overwhelming me, right? I'm constantly having to deal with these new things. So, our sort of view, I think, in that space is we're not stopping the DevOps journey. Like, that's still a very normal and healthy thing. But at scale, we've got to do something to start pulling some of those capabilities down into the platform and stop overloading our development teams. And I think that's what the vision is in this space.
I agree with you. I think, James, what you just described is actually the reason for being of platform engineering as we understand it today, which I was talking about it. Our last guest just wrote a book on platform engineering for O'Reilly.
Oh.
Camille Fournier, if you get a chance. She's also speaking this afternoon. I think one of the problems, and it was the problem with shift left, and let me preface all this. I'm the founder of DevOps.com. I'm a big DevOps fan, right? I've got 35 years in tech. I think DevOps is a great thing, and it really changed the way kind of we look at working together. The problem with shift left, which was, fundamental in DevOps, is we've set up this religion that we pray to the developer God, who's the predator, alpha predator at the very top of our food chain, the orca of our food chain, and everyone else kind of exists to make that developer better. Yeah. But you just can't keep throwing It's not an omnipotent being. They're a developer. Putting more and more on their backs, eventually that camel's back breaks.
Yes.
And that's because it's a person, right? Like I'm a developer. So when I go and ask from, my internal platform teams, like, hey, I need these things, they're like, that's your responsibility now. I don't want that responsibility in some of these areas.
Developers want to develop. They don't,
Yeah.
I think that was a fundamental mistake where we said, hey, developer, you're responsible for developing your own platform, right? That's not the way I think it was supposed to work. But you're disagreeing.
Well, it's a necessary learning process along the way. We try, we learn. That's kind of the whole thing.
Thesis, antithesis, synthesis.
Yeah, and we get better at identifying the actual stable subproblem that we can solve. And if you we've built up a big practice around focusing on, instrumenting and focusing and understanding that I'm doing the affinity loop here, the developer experience. We could have a blind spot or a streetlight effect around that because it's really understanding what they're up against in terms of scale, in terms of what we call quality attributes or non-functional requirements, these big challenges, and looking at where our opportunities are to solve what they're up against on their behalf. And you have to look outside, you have to expand the frame beyond simply looking at how they're working. You fundamentally want to change how they're working by taking some of those tasks away.
Yeah. And I still want that freedom, right? Like as a developer, I still want the freedom to operate. And that's why we can't go back. Like the DevOps journey that we've been on, like we can't go backwards into, now I just throw it over the wall. I want to have that optionality, but I want it with the comfort of being provided those quality attributes, being given those things as part of the platform. So, if I decide that, I think I need this new feature, and then suddenly it's not available from the platform, we're back at 20 years ago, right? So we have to go through that journey. We have to have that constant iterative process to that. And that's very DevOps itself.
Yeah, no, I preaching to the choir, right? So we run DevOps.com. We also run PlatformEngineering.com. And I don't think they're mutually exclusive at all. I think that's the continuum that we live under, and one begot the other. Yes. But it is an infinity loop, to your point. We haven't mentioned AI. It's been I don't know 10 minutes. That's a record. How is that playing into Google's IDP? I mean, they're all about Gemini, right? That's all we're hearing. I see it every time now. How is this playing in?
I mean, I think there's an open talk track here. We've published, I think, some very obvious numbers in the past about how much code is being written internally by AI, right, in this scenario, in terms of our internal platforms. And that's getting to the sort of 20-30% rate. That's a huge amount of code being generated in those spaces, and that's done by our internal equivalent for Gemini. I think the distinction there is we want to do that in a very cautious way. We want to make sure that there is a human in the loop for almost all of these changes. And when we talk about how we embed those into our platforms, that's got to be done in a very conscious way. So that's already, I think, quite effective. And if you think about the history of Google, we've been using ML platforms for a very, very long time. And so like having those capabilities, using them, that's already happening today. So that's already changing, I think, what we're doing. But I think there's a lot of areas where it doesn't necessarily change what we need. I'm more and more dependent on the platform to provide all of those quality attributes for the model usage, right? So I've got even more platform dependencies and even more asks from the IDP.
But that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's like another way to look at it is platform engineering solves business problems, right? And so the goal, like the commercial goal of platform engineering in any organization is to maximize value with existing resources at acceptable quality with sustainable costs. And so our ability to work with the resources available and solve more and more complex problems just gets better and better and better, and AI significantly helps, but still that same goal that we're we're working towards.
Understood. Understood. So have you been here most of the day? I don't know if you logged on to the virtual event at all. What, the vibe here is high energy, certainly. I mean, it's not a huge venue, but it's packed.
Mm-hmm.
I heard London was even bigger. No, were you there yesterday?
I wasn't. I'm from London originally, so I was missing out, but I think I'm too old now to try and do back-to-back.
Yeah, no, Luca Galante from human-centric from the
That's a big
PlatformCon.org.
so
He did. He was there yesterday and flew back. I said, unfortunately, we don't have the Concorde anymore.
Right.
You might been able to do it easily.
Had a couple of colleagues there as well, and I think this was something where we weren't in person last year. We did like a watch party. I was in Austin, and
Yeah.
there was a lot of demand, and I think that's surfaced today. Like there is a lot of demand here. I've been talking with a lot of people here. Some existing customers, some people who've never really heard of Google Cloud itself. I don't think anyone's not heard of Google, but like the Google Cloud pieces. And I think, a lot of, very interesting conversations around all of the topics inside platform engineering, but we've got away from the time of, is this a thing? We've moved past that in this space. So everyone has come here for, how do I solve this particular problem? How do I go tackle this particular area? And I think that enthusiasm that we for a while was like, oh, is this going to kind of fade? Or like, it's really just matured.
I think it is maturing. We went through this in DevOps. I call it the what is DevOps phase. For the first 2 years of DevOps.com, every fifth article is what is DevOps? What is not DevOps?
Right.
And now we are doing that. We've moved past that. We've moved past that with platform.
Well, we've now still got to argue what's our own definitions of DevOps versus platform engineering. So
One of the things I've really enjoyed in my conversations and being here with high energy today is whether you're building, at Google scale and supporting platforms at that scale, or you're building at a startup. When we start talking about the problems of platform engineering, we have the
They're
same
pretty
problems.
consistent. Yeah.
And, they're social problems as much as they are technical problems. And kind of the thing you get to notice as you solve these problems over and over again is no matter how good you solve a particular problem, like if you're successful, you just have another problem.
just get more of that.
I don't know if you ever read, do you know the book, The Goal? Have you ever read The Goal?
Yeah, The Goal.
Yeah.
So that was more manufacturing than tech per se, but that's the whole point.
Yeah.
As soon as you solve this bottleneck, there's a bottleneck behind it.
Yeah. And so we have
that's business.
Yeah.
It's job security. Anyway, we are about out of time.
Okay.
Leah, James, thank you so much both for coming on. We do a podcast on platform engineering, actually Luca and I, called the Platform Engineering Show of all things. Love to have you guys come on one day. It's remote. We can't always get together in person. But we'd love to hear more about what Google and Google Cloud are doing around your IDP, around platform engineering.
More to come. Like we've got more to come, I think, in that space. There's a lot of things in preview at the moment, and sort of, I think just excited to be part of the platform engineering journey with the community.
Love it. We're live here at PlatformCon. Thank you very much to Google and Google Cloud, James and Leah.
Thank you.
We have more coming up in just a moment, so stand by.